almost 8 o'clock on the dot. Gonna hang out and see if this populates. Not gonna be here super long because I've got such a busy weekend this weekend. Such a busy weekend this weekend. Oh my gosh. Can you tell how tired I am? I'm tired. Let's see if anybody jumps in. I don't know who else is live, so I don't want to step on any toes, but I wanted to go live for just a minute. Hello, sunshine. Wanted to jump in. I'm at the point, I'm tired. And I'm at the point where I'm just like, kind of over this week and the drama. So apparently the rumors are still circulating through the true crime world. I know that Sharon thanked me for making the video and was going to make sure that she announced correctly what Ryan came on my live and stated and clarified for everyone that he has only donated to the laundry case. And I appreciate him for jumping in and doing that. He didn't have to do that, and that was his time, and he gave it to us freely, and I appreciate that. But if you noticed, did y'all notice some of the heck I caught? I only had a couple people brave enough to actually leave. Hi, Priscilla. I only had a couple people brave enough to actually leave a comment. And the rest of them wanted to, like, Instagram me or email me with hatefulness. But why do you start accounts to message somebody and then close the account before they can respond? I would think that a dialogue would be better than just like a jab and run. I would, like, if you want to feel victorious, stand and have your dialogue with me and try to win. Although I know you can't, because I'm the one trying to be, stand up for the truth and say, hey, let's not spread falsehoods. I'm tired. Samantha, I'm tired. Hi, Snugglepuss. I'm very tired. I've had a big day. I've helped. My husband had to work until just about an hour ago, and I have set up his tent at the vendor site. My daughter-in-law helped me, and I've had to take care of Kazi and just do a lot of tying up loose ends today. So I'm fixing to crash super early tonight and sleep like the dead, because I did not sleep well last night. Kazi was a Velcro puppy last night. But I'm at this point where I'm not going to be the shining example of kindness that I normally am, because I'm kind of over it. So just bear with me. Y'all are not going to see me in one of my most graceful moments. Yeah, you caught me. I never know when I'm going to go live, but I've gotten into the routine of it's just an evening vomit session. Just telling everything. But okay, so I had somebody attack me. And they're like, why does this mean so much to you? You didn't care about missing persons 3 weeks ago. You're just doing it in for the ad revenue. Okay, number one, your whole argument is flawed because I'm not monetized. Oh, they had the puppies. Yay, I want pictures. As soon as you see them, I want pictures. Yeah, I had somebody just leave me like a paragraph. I put it in the troll repellent. And the only thing I responded to them was, thank you for being the best learning example, the learning tool that I could ever have. And they obviously have never watched any of my other videos. They obviously don't know that I was a parole officer and I supervised murderers and sex offenders. And I helped keep communities safe, and that, yes, meant children, because I monitor sex offenders. And I have always kept up with cases. I didn't talk about them a lot on my YouTube channel until Evelyn Boswell happened, and I did some feedback on the Evelyn Boswell case. But regardless of what you think where my niche should be, don't you think I get to declare that? Don't you think that's my business and not yours? Oh, she'll be fine. Mama's instinct is kicking in. She'll know exactly what to do. Don't be worried about those puppies. Well, and I don't want you to think you have to, I don't like for you to have to take up, feel like you have to stand up for me in the comments, because that's not what I want. I want your time on YouTube to be spent doing positive things and not, like, battling these stupid people. But I just have to come on here and say, listen, you can't fix stupid. So, I made a troll video, which, you know, is just kind of the best way to handle it. Just let them know, thank you for being an example. I'm going to use you as an example. Appreciate it. And I use them as an example. Because these people feed off this energy. And then I had somebody, hey boys, get out from under my chair and leave me alone. Go. Go. Velcro dogs. Whoo! But then today, just like a little while ago, I had somebody go on the live where Ryan popped in and clarified for us, and they go, I heard him say it to his assistant. He did say we're donating to this. That wasn't an assistant, that was Trevor. And they were talking about a lot of cases. And he was reminding Trevor, when he got on Instagram, I'm going to donate to this, remind me. He wasn't even looking at the camera when he said it. He was looking at Trevor. I knew exactly what he meant because I pay attention. Context clues, you know, just use your context clues. Woo! And I'm like, I put it on there. If you go to 124 in this live, he comes in and clarifies. I went straight to the source. There's no need to question this. I don't know how much more clear I can bring it to people. I had the source answer the question directly. How much more freaking obvious do certain people need it to be? You wonder why the United States is down the crapper? It's because of stupid people. Like the people that respond on those videos that want to tell you that you're lying, Ryan Upchurch did donate to other things when you won't even watch enough of the video to see him come in and answer and clarify what he did actually donate to. I can't carry all the adults in the world around and say, now, let's take 5 minutes and look at this. Do you see any clues that may make you infer that differently? I can't babysit all of America. I can't. And apparently there are some people that need to be babysat because they're too stupid to understand context clues. They're too stupid to have the person they're talking about, that they're stating falsehoods about, they're too stupid to see that person join in a chat and clarify it and to absorb that data. And I'm telling you, duct tape would come in handy, wouldn't it? I'm just like, I don't know what else I can tell you. And they obviously don't know who I am because I worked with youth in state's custody for years that had trauma and addiction issues. I've dealt with kids that have come from every scenario possible. So as far as the people telling me that this never mattered to me and why am I doing it, you can just go suck a biggin because this is all I've done with my entire life. It's all I've done with corrections, juvenile corrections, kids in state's custody, drug addiction therapy, parole officer. That's all I've done. So I'm just sitting here going, why do you need to be right? Why is it more important to be like right, even though you know you're wrong? Because the truth was stated before everybody in chat the other night. Why would they still go out and spread this crap? And they're like, well, why does it mean so much to you? Well, I know Ryan. And I also know that when you go out and you obligate people to this and you generate this energy around a topic like, oh, he's donating to this, and you get people amped up and then they find out, no, he didn't. People will direct their energy and their anger at him rather than the person that lied because that's the easiest outlet. So people will put that energy and that anger toward him thinking he must have done something to lie. And he doesn't, there's no need for that. He doesn't need that. There's no reason to lie when we have the truth. And then they come on, they're like, well, I'm going to tell her where to go. Okay. Where are we going? Because to be quite honest, I don't think I want to follow you anywhere. I don't even know if you can read road signs. I mean, obviously you're deaf and you're blind. So, not sure I want to follow you anywhere. I don't know. It's just all drama. And then they want to be like little drama stars and act like they're still in high school. And it's just like, is this really what YouTube is supposed to be? I thought we were supposed to have an outlet to where we could share our worlds and come together and get to know everybody and see everybody's different lifestyles and learn to embrace people that are different than us. I didn't think it was still like high school where the cliques went around and made other people miserable. Because it's just, I mean, it's just, and they think they're like, oh, we're going to get her. And I'm just like, you realize you look stupid? I mean, do you realize you look absolutely ignorant to respond on a video where Ryan Upchurch comes in and answers the question? And then to respond and contradict the man's own answer. You look stupid. You look stupid. There's no nice way to say that. You look absolutely asinine. And it's just, we wonder why the world's going on the crapper. It's just stupidity, absolute stupidity. So yeah, I've had one of those days where I've been like, I can't even begin to have a dialogue to counteract what you stated about me because it's flawed from the get-go. Like, you obviously did not watch anything or listen to anything. And it's just like, I give up. I get with stupid people, I give up. Well, we have a good group here. And I like the group we have here because y'all know that I may say things from time to time that are like my opinions and my beliefs. But I normally tell you when this is my belief or my opinion. When I try to share things that are factual, I try to stay factual and take emotions out of it. So you all normally get a pretty clear view of what I'm trying to deliver because I don't like to confuse people. But it seems like a lot of people really like to live in confusion and they like to take advantage of it. But I don't like that in my world. And I guess since y'all are here with me, you don't like it in yours either. So I just, these people think they're coming into like, I'm gonna make her feel scared. And I'm like, I don't think you've met me. But all I can determine from your poorly structured sentences is that you don't know your butt from a hole in the ground. And I mean, if you want to go through your life being absolutely stupid and vapid and having nothing between your ears, it's good for you. But when you put other people's name in your mouth and you start obligating people and spreading rumors, it starts a ripple effect that has consequences, especially for people that are in these highly emotional states dealing with these true crime crap. It just shouldn't be done. It just shouldn't be done. And there's no reason to lie. Like I said, I went, devil is the author of confusion, absolutely. I went straight to the source. I don't know how much more blatantly obvious I can make it. So, like I just want to go, are you alive? Did you see any of that? Did you hear? I don't know, but I've been irritated today. It's not been the best day ever. And I went up to the farm to take pictures and take that video. I had to run everybody's. I had to be the grocery go-getter and stuff again today and take everybody's stuff everywhere. And I went up to take a picture and I wanted to sneak out into the field to take another picture, and that stupid bull, that little bull that my dad has pulled up, I think his name's JR, I don't know. He's just friendly enough to where you don't think you need to worry about him until he's right on top of you, and then you're like, oh crap, JR's still a butthole. So JR came up next to me, and he's about 800 pounds now. He's not tiny anymore, he's about 800 pounds. And he was wanting to rub his head on me, and you can't do that. You can't do that, boy. You will knock me down. I'm not that stable. So I was like, get out here. Shoo, get. Well, he's been babied so much, he will not like leave, like I said, I'm not scared of you. You're not going to smack me. You're not. Well, he kept just almost pushing me down. I was trying to take pictures, and he was just trying to rub and push. And I finally turned around, and the only place you can hurt a cow is up under their privates. That'll hurt them. And the tip of their nose. That's the only place you can hurt a cow. I'm just not lying. You cannot hurt a cow any other way. Anything else your handmaid's gonna be bone or muscle, you're not gonna hurt him. And he looked at me and he the way he was moving his shoulders and he pulled that head back, I knew he was fixing to butt me. And so I just popped him in the nose. And he went off spitting and a-blowing and a-running and bucking and kicking. And he decided he had had enough of me at that point. And literally, he waited in the tree line until I started walking back toward the gate. And then he got between me and the gate. And I thought, JR, honey, you don't know me. I'm fixing to introduce myself. So I had to deal with the bull today. And, oh, did you ride bulls? I used to do team pinning. I can rope stuff when I need to rope stuff, but I don't, I'm not good enough at full speed to rope. And so I showed cattle. I showed limousine heifers and bulls, and then I halter broke the bulls for the other farms in the area so that they could show their stock. And so I've got 4 fake teeth from where a bull headbutted me and took my teeth out when I was 17. And so JR was fixing to get on my everlast loving nerve, and I just felt old today because like I took like one right hook and I was like, JR, that was all my energy, leave me alone. And then I told Dad, I said, you better teach JR to back up. I said, he's gonna hurt you. I said, you're too old to have a bull be that comfy. I said, you know that just is gonna get somebody hurt. I said, you need to ring his bell before he gets much bigger. Dad said, what'd he do to you? I said, he wasn't gonna let me out the gate. I said, I had to right hook him to get out the gate. And Dad just starts laughing at me because my dad's one of those dads like, he saw me get dumped off horses and I'll hit the ground and he'll be like, well, get up. And so my dad's one of those. And so he thinks it's funny that I was intimidated by JR. And I was like, I wasn't intimidated. I was just like, get the crap away from me. Why have you not been taught better manners? I'm irritated with you. So me and JR fought. And I don't know. It's just been one of those days where everything I've done, I've had to do it like 3 or 4 times. And then that other person left that comment and I was like, I don't know how to make this any more obvious. Like I went directly to the source for y'all. I don't know how to make it any more obvious. But I just feel bad because people get so emotional and worked up and they're like, oh, he gave money, oh great. And then they're like, he didn't give money, and it's like, I hate him. And it's like, low. He never obligated himself for that case. He only obligated himself for the laundry case. Hi Sharon, we're talking about the people that have left stupid comments under my videos. I had one in the live that Ryan Upchurch came into and clarified everything, still say that they watched him and that he did put money up for the Summer Wells case. And I said, I don't know how much more obvious I can make it. Like I went directly to the source and he was in the live and he answered the question. I don't know how much more obvious I can make it, you know. And then they want to act all tough and be like, what does this matter to you? You never talk about missing kids before. You never. And I'm like, listen, I was a parole officer. I dealt with murderers and sex offenders. I've dealt with kids in state's custody that had trauma and addiction issues. I worked with juvenile delinquents that went to wilderness boot camps. All I've done is corrections and counseling in my life. And half of it was with juveniles. So obviously, we know we're working with somebody that doesn't care if they have truth and facts and evidence. They just want to pop in and be a jackbutt. And I'm having like my jackbutt intolerance is low today. Just been like literally if somebody came up to me and was like, hey, you know, I've been watching you and I'm been waiting for a moment to, you know, swing on you and here it is, I would literally be like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Hit me twice, then I'm going to introduce you to the Lord. Because I would just really like to just be turned loose for about 5 minutes. But it's just frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating. Because we have somebody like Ron Upchurch who is super generous and super sweet and super kind to put his money where his mouth is. And then people go and try to spend his money for him and then make everybody think it's him that's defaulting when it's not. He never said that. And then he'll not want to ever do this again. You are ruining your own cause. Like, I can't What's your motive? Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, is it your money to spend? And I'm just like, it's going to have no repercussion on them, because the people that get angry are going to get angry at Ron, because that's the easiest target for their anger. And so he's going to be the one dealing with the backlash, and the people that didn't know, didn't research, didn't go seek out the truth. But I'm sitting there going, how can you watch my videos where I blatantly asked him in the live chat and he answered, and they still comment on the live chat going, nuh-uh, and I'm like, oh my God, you're one of those. And I'm just like, oh Jesus. I don't know, I feel so frustrated that we have such a great foundation to share knowledge and to link up with people and to research and put wrinkles in our brains. And literally, there are people, lots of people, that only see this as an outlet to create harm, confusion, anger. What? Like, I mean, just, you know, go to counseling. Save your trauma for your therapist. You know, try to be positive when you're here. That's Hi, Hillbilly Reacts. Yeah, they use it for the dumb crap. And then they come on a channel where I'm actually trying to be useful and beneficial. And they're like, and I'm like, oh my God, don't you swag that neck at me. I'm just like, oh. So, you know, there's something to be said that when you're face to face to people, you can really read people. And when people are face to face with me, they know that I'm kind and I'm genuine and I care, but I have a cutoff. And when I reach that cutoff, you will know I've reached the cutoff. And I will give you warning. And then if you poke me with a stick, I will look at you and let you know that you're fixing to make your maker. Because I have good tolerance until I'm done, and then I'm done. Hey, Wayne. Oh, I'm just dealing with stupid people today. It's been like the day of stupid people. And then I went to put my husband's vendor site up. Now, I know I'm not in like an area that is known for its brains. But when you map it out with yellow streamers and you make all these squares on the ground, if you don't mark the squares with the number you gave the vendor, they can't figure out which square is which. And what they had done, they had taken a dry erase marker and they had put it on the yellow, the little tiny yellow, like caution ribbon, yellow ribbon. But as soon as the dew had fallen this morning, it just vanished. I was like, wow, smart. And I'm like, you know, people, we got to do better. So I don't know, I've been around stupid people all day, and I'm over it. Hillbilly, you absolutely just said it. We have all the knowledge in the palm of our hands, and people have been rolling downhill in the intelligence department. Oh my gosh, the deficits that we see in the world where literally intel is right in front of you. It's just, it's amazing. Christine says you can't fix stupid. Why they are saying, well, they're saying that during that live when Trevor came in and they were talking about various stories, that he said, Trevor, remind me, we're going to donate to this. But he was looking at Trevor and obviously that was meant for Trevor, not for the camera. And as soon as he went on Instagram, he did a video stating, I'm donating to the Brian Laundrie case. That's the only thing he did in his Instagram live. He didn't, and I'm like, don't you think if he was donating to another case, he would have done a separate Instagram live to also verbalize that? No. Well, if that wasn't plain enough, I'll get him in a live. I got him in a live, and they still, and you know something? This is just, the people that like to dictate the world often live with their head stuck in the sand. They only have it out when they've got it up somebody else's hind end. And then they go and they put it right back in the sand. And literally all they do is try to dictate other people and then stick their head in the sand so nobody can dictate them. And I just really want there to be a huge awakening where everybody pulls their head out of their own hind end or out of the sand. And like, I want to hear everybody break suction at once. And I want to just like have this big aha moment where the world wakes up. And you learn to read a well-constructed sentence and to respond with a well-constructed sentence. And you learn to use your context clues. And I'm just like, today's been the first day I've really been irritated since the woman, where I had on that shirt that said Proud Arborist Mom, since the woman told me I shouldn't wear a shirt promoting abortion. It had a boy in a tree with a chainsaw. I had my son in a tree with a chainsaw. And I'm like, hello, context clues. What about this is abortion? And then she was like, and I was like, yeah, so if you get pissed off, read it twice and make sure you didn't allow your emotions to read it rather than your eyeballs the first time. And then she was like, oh, I made the big woman mad. And I bristle up like an old boar. Now, I do. When you tick me off, I'll bristle up like an old boar, and I'll tell you about it. And I don't like, in the middle of a crowded office, I do not like to be singled out and like, oh, I'm going to get her in front of all these people, because I will make you want to crawl inside your own ass and die. Because that's just how I am. And so to have to deal with the people I've dealt with today has reminded me of that day. And that was one of my most frustrating days. Because I wore that shirt twice in 2 weeks, and I got yelled at twice. Once each time I wore it. And I thought, apparently nobody goes to kindergarten and learns to read anymore. Well, I don't want to be better than everybody else. I want to live in a land of my peers where they also want, know that it's not nice to say horrible things. Yeah, I know. I just hate for, like, people, they get all amped up because they're all emotional about these cases, and then they're like, oh, and they've given money, and it's going to help it, and then they go, oh, they didn't give money, and their anger automatically goes to the celebrity instead of the stupid idiot spreading the rumor. And I feel bad. I feel bad that people really choose ignorance over any kind of knowledge. And then they walk around the world thinking that they're enlightened. And I just wonder how people function in that capacity. I mean, it must be, ignorance is bliss. It must be blissful. It's been a sucky week. This has been one of those weeks where it's been like, redo. Let's have a redo. Let's start over. Let's do it again. This was not a good week. Pass the duct tape. Was it praise the Lord and pass the ammunition? I don't know if, like, the signs, or I haven't looked at the moon, but I'm sure something's funky. But it's just been like, seriously, like, and I'm normally not, like, easily frustrated. Normally I'll just laugh and walk away because it's more amusing to me than anything. But it seems like I have bumped into, like, every ignorant person in the world. I ran into them this week, full head on, had to deal with them. And I just sit there and watch the show because even though you try to deal with them kindly, they blow up. And they put on this big pantomime about being a victim. And you just kind of have to stand back and let them get it over with. And then when they get out of their system, then you might be able to, salvage part of the conversation and go on. And it's just like, I haven't had the crossbow back out. And I haven't gone shooting in a while. Probably need to go. Probably make me feel better. But my husband's going to be at the Pumpkin Festival all weekend selling furs. So I'm going to try to sit up there a little bit with him tomorrow morning. Just to be with him because I'm normally so sick I can't get out of the house. And because I can sit in the tent and be 10 foot away from everybody and enjoy what's going on when I have to be in the middle of it. So that's what I'm going to do. And then when I get tired, I'll come home and take care of Kazi. So he'll get some long naps tomorrow in his kennel while I'm gone. But it's going to be a busy weekend. So that's all I'm doing. I'm selling fur this weekend. That's all I'm doing. Selling fur and taking care of my dog, which he's doing really well. Yeah, seriously. See what stage the moon is in. But people have been crazy. Oh, did everybody catch Tom McDonald's new song that he dropped this morning? Like, I caught it like 16 minutes after he dropped it. I made sure to go and listen to it. It was amazing. Like, everything I want to say to people, he pretty much put it in song and just let it out. And I'm like, hallelujah. Preach it, Tom. Like, I mean, in what world would America's potential salvation be found in a Canadian that came here to work? Sad. Boy, I'm telling you, now, the 9mm crap has not been as bad as I thought it would be. But I'm telling you, you go for $2.43 or $22, and holy crap, it gets expensive. Would you stop chewing on that? Cuzzy is being a little turd today. But yeah, I just had one of them days. And y'all, we have crap days. I just try to never have crap weeks, so I've had some good spots this week. It's not been like an absolutely wouldn't want to erase the entire week, but the only time that I'm able to go deer hunting is if we go to specific places that we can get the four-wheeler in and out of. And so I don't hunt a lot because I can't do the hike in, hike out because I never know when my legs are going to just stop working. So if it's somewhere that I can get the four-wheeler in or I can get dropped off and then they can come grab me later, I definitely will go. It just depends on, because we're on a hunting lease and then we've got some private property that we hunt. It just depends on the lay of the land and how easily accessible it is. Yeah, I know. Weren't those the days? I remember when I was little. I mean, you just have a couple bucks in your pocket and you could go and get a whole pocket full of ammo to go squirrel hunting. I remember when I was in 3rd and 4th grade going squirrel hunting after school and then cleaning my own dinner and making squirrel and dumpling, which is really good. It's like chicken and dumplings. Now if we saw a 3rd or 4th grader walking into the woods with a 22, which had one of those banana clips which are now illegal, I never got the shotgun, so I learned how to squirrel hunt with 22, so I became a really good shot. And but I mean, if we saw a kid walking in the woods now, or two kids with guns, you know, 3rd or 4th grade, and bringing home their own dinner, we would think something's wrong. And back then, it was just normal. Well, I definitely feel like something has been off. So if somebody figures out what it is, let me know, because something's definitely off. I know people would lose their minds if they were raised like me. And I can't go on here much and talk about how I was raised in walking horse barns, because then I get the big leg haters after me. And so I just keep my mouth shut, because I grew up in walking horse barns with my dad. And the most detriment that I ever saw done to horses and horses' feet and horses' bodies was racing, steeplechase, and hunter jumpers. They would ship them from like Illinois and Indiana and Maine. They would ship them to us, and he would have to rebuild their feet with kitty hair epoxy so that they could function until their foot grew back out. You know, if it hadn't damaged the frog or the coffin bone, you know, you could salvage it. And he would fix them and send them back. And they would try to get a little bit more out of him, and then they would try to retire him. But he knew that if he ever got a horse that he could not repair the hoof, like he would build half a foot for these horses. If he ever got a horse that he couldn't repair the hoof on, he knew he was sending it back to be sent to slaughter. And so he tried really hard to do everything he could for all the horses that got shipped to him. So I grew up around really expensive horses my entire life. And I remember I was sitting in an office at a barn, and there was a shipping company come up, and they had a horse that had been shipped from out west somewhere. They was going to put it at this new barn where my dad worked. It was like a 5-barn facility. It was huge. The horses lived nicer than any house I ever lived in. And I was sitting there with the owner of the barn. Now I'm in 4th grade. I'm in 4th grade. I'm sitting there with the owner of the barn, a millionaire. His name was Jack Thomas. He was a millionaire. And they're taking all these horses because they just ship horses. They had every kind of horse on that trailer possible. And they, at the very first, where the good AC is and the good spot is, that's supposed to be the prime animal. And so the last horse to come off, and they let them all walk while they were there. The last horse to come off was just prancing and a dancing, and the guy was walking it back and forth in front of us. We gone out to the big porch to see it. And he was walking it back and forth, and it was just all prancing and high and mighty. And he goes, "What the devil is that?" And I looked at him. I said, "4th grade." I said, "That's a Trakehner." And he goes, "What?" And the guy from the trailer stopped walking the horse. And he goes, "What did you say?" And I said, "That's a Trakehner horse." And he goes, "How do you know that?" And I was like, "How do you not know that?" And he was like, "Who are you?" And they're like, "That's the farrier's daughter." And I goes, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "That's a Mustang, and that's a quarter horse, and that's a walking horse. That's an Andalusian, that's Paso." And he was like, "Well, you're good." And I'm like, "It's just horses." You just grow up knowing these things. Ooh, you know the one that came out of him that is named like Oyster or something other too? Shoot. Anyway, down his lineage, there's one named Oyster something, Oyster Slew or Oyster something other. Anyway, I got to ride one of his kids. And he was like 17, probably a little bit more. I had to get on the bleachers to get on him. It was bad. I had to get on the bleachers to get on him. He's a big gray horse. And when I was on him, I was like, whoa, this is the tallest. Now, I had like a 16-3 walking horse before that I had to put in a ditch to get on. His name was Ebony's Coal Baron. But I got on this one, I was like, this is the highest I have ever been, even on my grandpa's Percheron and Belgian horses. This was a huge horse. And I run him around a little bit, and I got him into a little lope. But I could feel him starting to engage and wanting to go, and I was like, oh, no, we're not even going to think about it. Nope, not even. And I slowed him right down back to a walk, and I was like, nope, I will come on, right off of you. And at that point, I'd had so many knee surgeries I hadn't ridden in a couple, 3 years, and he was so pretty, and he moved so nice. And I was like, can I just take him a round or two at the arena? And they were like, oh, yeah, absolutely, sure, absolutely. And so I just paralleled him up to the bleachers and hopped on, and took a few rounds in the arena. And it was, it was like riding a cotton ball because he moved so gracefully. But he was huge, and he was wanting to engage his transmission and drop a few gears and take off, and I was like, nope, we're not going to do that. Gear down, buddy. So that was one of the funnest moments. If you grew up with walking horses, if you know anything about walking horses, we had one he's putting on the Ritz. His name was Ritzaroo, and that little horse had absolutely all the heart, but he was dumber than a box of rocks. But he was sweet. He had a lot of heart. He's just dumb. Best horse I ever rode was one I got for $400. It was a half walking horse, half Morgan. And I trained him for 5 years on trails. And I could literally tell him to stand at the river. And I could find a gravel path across the river rather than a sandbank. Because you don't want your horses to get into the sandbank. They'll break their legs. And I would find a little gravelly spot across a thin part of the river. And if I was on the other side of the river and he was here, I would say, step up, Jack, and he would follow me. And he would, like, slide. And he would stay parallel at me, looking at me like, okay, okay. And then when I found the spot for him to come straight across, I'd say, step up. And he'd come to me. And I had people offer me $2,000 and $3,000 for this horse. And I couldn't sell him because he was just part of me. He was just a little, he was pushing 14.3, maybe 15 hands. He was tiny, but he was powerful. And when he stretched out and ran, it looked like his belly was hitting the ground because he would just stretch out and run. He was the sweetest little thing. And when I left for college, my friend that was younger than me that I'd showed cattle and stuff with, they were wanting to get her first real horse to start running. And I had run him on poles and barrels and trained him. And I knew with me going to college that he was just going to go to waste in the pasture. And so I sold him to her for the same $400. Saddle and all. And she kept him, and then when her kids were tiny and my kids were just starting to ride, he came back to me for my kids to learn how to ride. And then he went back to her for her daughter to learn how to ride. And then he died at the age of 37. Cuzzy, what do you got? You better not be into anything. Wishful thinking, we know he is. So he lived to be 37. So he just died 6 years ago. He's buried in the cow pasture down the mountain. He had just enough of that little Morgan pony in him that he got a longer life. Of course, he was well taken care of. And so, the prettiest horse, the prettiest horse I ever rode was an Andalusian. And I worked at a Pasadena barn, but they would also board and have like clinics, and so people would ship their horses to attend the clinic with the big trainer. And anyway, if I had to saddle your horse because you don't know how to saddle your horse, then you probably don't need a horse. But anyway, so they shipped in a big Andalusian, and the lady was trying to ride it, and he was being a turd. Well, he wasn't really being a turd. He went by leg cues, and she did not know the leg cues. And I said, how long has it been since you rode him? She said, about 7 months. I said, well, you probably don't need to be the first one on him. I'll take him for a spin in the arena, and if he's going to be a turd, he'll be a turd to me. You chill out. No, I was 18 and bounced a lot better back then, so if I hit the ground, it wasn't the worst thing possible. So I climbed up on this huge Andalusian. And I was just playing around with him because I know leg cues from the Western world, and sometimes they're kind of close to the leg cues they use in like dressage and stuff like that. And I got him into a big extended trot. And I was having fun because we was doing this big, this big extended trot. And I was making him do that back and forth and back and forth. And then I got him to go into a nice little lope, and I got him to change his lead every, like, other jump. He was great. Like, he was push-button Cadillac. Like, he was the best thing I ever rode in my life, probably. I was like, buddy, this is nice. This is why people pay the money for these horses. And, well, he was fiery, but he put it into his presentation. He didn't take it on his rider, which I appreciated. And, I said, he's doing good. I said, you just got to be careful where you put your heel. I said, because that dictates the speed. And I said, you need to keep your heel right by your girth. I said, don't tap him unless you want to be in the next county in about 2 minutes. And I rode him for probably 20 minutes, and he was perfect. And I slid off and handed the reins. And the Larry Whitesell, the trainer, he said, I didn't know you could ride that horse. And I said, I didn't either. He said, that's the first time you rode an Andalusian? I said, yep. He said, that's the first time you've done dressage cues? And I said, yeah, they're real close to the Western cues I used. And he goes, Lord Elizabeth. And I had fun. I thought it was great. She got on that horse, literally was the first person thrown in the clinic. How? How do you do that? Like, what special skill do you have to do that? I was just like, okay. I had never had a hot oil treatment in my hair either, and we had the Grand National Pasadena horse. His name was Indio. I don't know his real show name. We called him Indio. And he had been shipped from, like, Utah to us. He was jet black. He didn't never see the sun, and he got a VO5 hot oil treatment twice a month. And so I would save it for the last thing I would do at the end of my weekend shift, and I would hot oil this horse's mane and tail, which was ginormous. Then you had to brush it out, let it air dry for a little while, and then you had to braid it and roll it and pin it up. And I'm sitting there slathering the VO5 hot oil on this horse's, and I realize I've got way too much. And then I realize I'm going home and fixing to jump in the shower. I've never had a VO5 hot oil treatment. I've got this all in my hands. This is going to be wasted. So I knock off my ball cap, put on my hair, and put my hair up under my ball cap, put my ball back on. And got him taken care of, went home and took a bath. And I thought, this is why you get VO5 hot oil treatments. My hair was shiny and soft for 3 days. I swear it was nice. Can't say I've ever had a VO5 hot oil treatment since then either. Huh. The things you think of when you're talking to other people. But I lived in a world where people had them to be status symbols, not as functional partners. And I needed horses to be functional partners. So my dad, when he would go to all these barns shoeing, if there was one that was just potentially, they called it the devil, he would be like, I'll pay for it. Let me have it. I'll take it to Liz. And so he would come home with these horses that nobody wanted, and in 2 months I would have them push button. That would be great. And so that's what I did. I trained a lot of horses, and I was a reseller, I guess is what you would say. I would take them and rather than make them be little turds that were going to end up a slaughter, I would train them to be good horses that could actually have good homes. So that's all I did for a long time. As a matter of fact, 10 days after I had my daughter, I bought a mahogany Appaloosa and had him maybe a week and doubled my money. And all he needed, he had started biting the people that was cinching up his saddle. And so I took those little flat thumbtacks and I pushed them through duct tape, and then I put the duct tape around my arm so it was just the tacks out. And so when I was cinching him up and he'd turn around, he would bite, but he wouldn't see me react, but he would hurt himself. And he thought he was hurting himself because I wasn't swinging at him. I wasn't doing nothing. I was standing still. So he was like, oh, I hurt myself when I do that. I better not do that again. And so, you know, a couple bumps on the nose with, you know, a couple dozen thumbtacks, and he thought, I better stop this crap. And taught him straight tie because he'd never been taught straight tie. And doubled my money on him in a week. And he was great. Other than that, he was great. He had just gotten a bad habit because he'd gotten away with it. I just rewired his brain and let him know that you're hurting yourself. I'm not hurting you. I'm not moving. You're hurting yourself. So, but I would often get the horses that would like chase people out of the pasture with teeth bared and stuff. And I bought a Proud Cut gelding once, and my dad called me. I had it delivered, and my dad had to be there at the barn to take it in because I was at work. And he called where I was working. I was working at the newspaper, and he said, "You're going to die." And I was like, "What'd I do?" He goes, "No, you're going to die. This horse is going to kill you." And I was like, "Dad, no he ain't." He goes, "He is right now trying to mount the fence because he heard the mare on the other side of the farm call." And I was like, "Oh, he'll be fine." He's like, "You're going to die." That was the best horse I ever owned. Now, we took about 4 weeks to get to know each other, but it was one of the best horses I ever owned. Mr. Ed. Now that's what, and he was a Skipper W horse. His name was My Skipper to Be. And he looked like Mr. Ed. He had the same flaxen mane and tail. He was pretty. Oh yeah, like my daughter was riding, well she was riding, I had a paint that I broke out. The last one I broke out, my husband bought me right after we married. He was 2. He just fixed him to turn 3. And I broke him out, and he was the 2-eyed Jack paint. And he was a sweetie pie. Like, he was so smart. We had to change the gates out. He was so smart because he could open the freaking gates. And his name was Jojo. Ace's Jojo. And he was just great. I mean, I had him 10 miles from civilization before he was 3.5 years old. And I rode him with old horses, and he was always the best behaved. And they were like, "Why is he well behaved?" And I was like, "Because he goes everywhere with me. And because I've got him boarded in the barn next to fallow deer, axis deer, and wild hogs. So when he smells them out in the woods, it doesn't scare him. I don't get dumped." He goes, "Oh, I've smelled those before." And I was riding one day, and I was riding with a group from Wyoming or Colorado, somewhere out there. And I took them out because they wanted to go see the Jane Bend Overlook, but they didn't know the trails. And I said, "Well, I'll cut them. I'll take you." And they were like, "Absolutely, yes." So I had hooked up with them for the day to ride. We get to where the forest is open up, and we're cresting the hill to get out of the forest. And they're on either side of me, and we're just talking, riding down this really wide trail. And turkeys flushed up. And they got dumped, and their horses went squalling. By the time they got them caught, they was way back on the trail. And I was sitting turned around on my horse going, "Y'all okay?" And they're like, "Yeah." "Did your horse not move?" "No, we have these at home. They're everywhere. Turkeys are Satan. Like, turkeys only live to scare you or to chase you. That's all turkeys do." And my horse was just like, "Why did they run? Those are turkeys." And I got offered a whole lot of money for him too. And I had him when I had the first of my knee surgeries, and I knew I was going to have to stop what I was doing. And I had a riding facility in Georgia offer me $27.50 for him. And I thought, I mean, he would be kept good. He would be around kids. He loved kids. But I thought, He would be in a stall. He would never be out in the woods again. He was just a go-getter. He loved to go to shows. He knew he was showing off when he was in the show ring, and I thought, I can't put him in a barn, in a stall, and never out in the woods again. And so I sold him to a family in Kentucky for $800, and he took all 5 of their children through Saddle Club, and I still get Christmas cards with his pictures on them. Oh, that reminds me, there was a horse, oh shoot, what was his name? I hadn't want to tell you as I could. There was a man in Tennessee that owned a horse that was like the world's smartest horse. Oh my gosh. I get his name mixed up because he's buried in a grave too, but I went to see Strolling Jim's grave, a walking horse, when I was little. But now this horse is also buried and has a grave that you can go visit. And it was like the world's smartest horse. He toured, he knew tricks, he could count, he could spell. Oh shoot, they've got a documentary on him on YouTube about him, and that's a really cute story. I've had some smart horses, and I've been a time or two been like, I need to get rid of that one because he is going to open every stall door, turn on every light bulb, and like JoJo would open the gate and go in the apple orchard and pull apples. And when my niece would walk from their home across to come visit Nana, Joe would be in the apple orchard. He knew he wasn't supposed to be there, and she would squall and say, Nana, JoJo's in the apple orchard. And then you'd hear thundering hooves, and he would run into the field, spin, turn around, grab the gate, pull it back, and take off running, and it would slang. And he had learned with his tongue to move that little knob to open the gate, and then he knew how to close it by biting it and pulling it and running off. And so we had to go and get all new gates. My dad was like, you're going to have to get new gates. And I was like, crap. So we moved those gates to the cattle fields, and I bought new gates for the horse fields. And I thought, never again. Never again. But if you just put a snap on him, he would sit there and just mouth that snap until he got it open. And I was like, JoJo, honey, you're killing me. But I've had some smart horses. But there's a documentary. It's the smartest horse. Oh, and he had a very similar name. But I remember thinking of Strolling Jim, and I watched that because I've been to Strolling Jim's grave several times. So, but yeah, that's the world I grew up in. Common sense was abundant back then. Oh, that sounds interesting. Okay, I'll see you later. Thanks for, I'm fixing to go to bed too. I just wanted to come on and chill because I know you won't see me again until Monday or Tuesday. I don't know, John Wayne had horses, but he didn't like horses as much as people thought he did. He was very picky about his horses, and very much put them through big tests, you know, for them to be something that he would put money on and have on his farm. They had to really impress him because he was very finicky about the horses he had. And that's why when you see him riding a horse in a movie, he rides it for several movies because that was probably the only one he had, you know, enough trust in and liked well enough to ride, because he was very picky about his horses. Very picky. He had, you know, he didn't adopt them all. He wanted the best of the best, and he wanted smart, savvy cow horses. He didn't want, you know, he didn't want them to look pretty. He wanted them to have a brain. And so, if it's anything that you can trace back to, like, it came from John Wayne's farm or had lineage, you know it's good stock because he only had the best. Because he was picky. So, I don't know if he was allergic or not. I just know he was super picky. Oh yeah, I watched Triple T. Oh, is he going live? I watch him too. Y'all, if you don't watch Triple T, you need to go watch him. He's just a laid-back guy, but he has really good conversations and has a very good insight on what's going on in society and the world today. Okay, he's live now. Okay, well, I'm going to shut up because I'm probably going to go watch that too. I'm going to go get my dogs rounded up and I'm going to go crash and watch that. So, I will video the Pumpkin Festival, but it may not be put together until next week. So, if you don't see me, I'm okay. I'm alive. I'm just shaking off the stupidity. Might take me a couple days. And I'm going to get through the weekend and get all this fur dealt with. So, y'all have a wonderful weekend and go watch Triple T. He's great. You're going to like him. And if you have time, if you go and sub to a channel called Montegraph, 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 smart man. You'll think he's crazy. Listen to him for a few nights, you'll realize he's very smart. So, there's my 2 tips. And y'all, we just got to deal with the stupid people. Get through the weekend, deal with the stupid people, and maybe next week it will be different. I'm going to pray it is, because I'm about at the end of my rope. And I'm not going to tie a knot and hang on. I'm just going to let it go. I'm there. I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to go to bed. I love you, and thanks for spending time with me. I'll talk to you later. Mama Liz out.